Hey there, good evening and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph and I am the host of this show. A show dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and other forms of rock music. So this is my series episode, my favorite albums of 1980. So this is day 25, October the 25th, featuring a band that I've liked quite a bit in years past and still like quite a bit now. They've not really faded too much over the years, a little bit because I didn't like a lot of their stuff in the 80s and 90s, but overall still a great band with a lot of really good stuff. And so we're talking about this album, Heart's Greatest Hits Live. Now I know it's just called Greatest Hits, however it does have some live stuff on here that's quite good. So this was kind of towards the end of the band. I don't see Mike Fisher in this picture. Let me see. Take a closer look here. I'm going to need these. Yeah, I don't think he's in here. Howard Leese. Yeah, I don't think he's in here. Anyways, by this time I think he was gone from the band, which is unfortunate because as strong as Ann and Nancy Wilson are, and obviously the leaders of the band, wrote all the music and were the front and center pieces of the band, Mike Fisher was a great guitar player, and in my opinion they lost something when they let him go. And eventually they got rid of everybody in the band, and the band changed its whole style and became this kind of a pop producing band in the 80s, which I had no interest in. I don't think I've ever owned or listened to any stuff from their album. I mean, I've heard stuff on the radio, but I've never owned or listened to anything from their 80s stuff or their later 80s stuff. Anyways, this is a fantastic album. Lots of really solid stuff on here. Most of it, because it's a greatest hits album, most of this was on other studio albums. But there is some stuff on here that's notable, you know. And for me, this was my first encounter with Heart. I bought this album. I wasn't sure if I would like their stuff, so I bought this Greatest Hits. I actually bought it in album form. Got it probably around the time it came out in 1980. Had it until I moved out in 1985, but bought it again shortly. I think there was a period of time where I bought a bunch of albums in 1988. I may have mentioned this before, and this could have been one of those albums, but actually it's a CD. It's got a crack in it now, but so for me, the listening to of this album, it started when I got it. I listened to it a lot the first year or two, and kind of trailed off a bit, but still continued to listen to it. When I gave it up, I bought it again when I seen it again and at that 1988 blowout, I guess it would call. I spent over $300 that day. I'm sure this was one of the albums, and I got it again and I listened to it a lot again for a while. Kind of faded a bit, came back in, but it's been pretty much a staple over the last 2 decades for me. I usually listen to it a half dozen times a year anyways, which is a lot when you've got a lot of albums and you've got a lot to listen to. But I've listened to it this year a couple times already. Great album. So it has the hits that they took off of their first 4 albums, I believe. 5 albums, actually. So it has Barracuda, Silver Wheels, Crazy on You, Straight On, Dreamboat Annie, Even It Up, Magic Man, and Heartless, and Dog and Butterfly. And then you get the live stuff, which starts after those tracks. So after the first nine tracks are all greatest hits. Great songs. Like, this is a good collection of their stuff. If you're not really a Heart fan, or you don't know, you haven't really listened to them much, and you're wondering if maybe you've heard Barracuda or Crazy on You and I like them, and you're just wondering what other stuff I see. This is a good album to start with, because it gives you kind of an overview of all of their hits and stuff. Then you get the last, I think it's 6 tracks. Yeah, the last 6 tracks on this are live. Okay, it starts out with Bebe Lestrange, or Strange if you prefer. Some people call it Bebe Lestrange, but it's not. It's Bebe Lestrange. Anyways, great song, nice riff, and Anne is like screeching on this song, really good. Then he does the next one, which is a old kind of folky, maybe I would say maybe a kind of early rock anthem that came out in the 50s. I have the original version by the original people singing. I used to like it a lot. So when I seen them do the cover of it, I loved it. And she does it so much better. It's so good. It's that song, Tell It Like It Is. She has such a wonderful voice on this song, you know. Always the one song on this album that I love the most, I think. Then he does the Minstrel Wind, really good track, really great track. And then she goes and they do Sweet Darling. Yeah, another really good anthemic song for her voice, just amazing, you know. Then they do a couple of heavier songs, Long Tall Sally, I'm Down, Long Tall Sally, that's kind of the Beatles covers. Does it really well. She does this part where she is thanking the audience, and she does it at such high speed, it's almost hilarious. It's hilarious. I can't even follow what she's saying, and I've been listening to this thing for 40 years. A great track. And then they do Rock and Roll, which is not one of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs, but they do a good rendition of it. It's very good. I almost like it as much as the Zeppelin one, almost. Anyway, so this is a must. If you're a person that wants to get into Heart, this is probably the route to take. I mean, you could go to one of their studio albums, Dreamboat Annie or Little Queen, both really good albums too. But if you want to get a real overview of them, this is a fantastic album. And Ann Wilson, I think Ann Wilson's at her best on this album. Of all their albums, I think this is the one with the best kind of vocal range that she has and displays. So there you have it. My favorite albums of 1980, October the 25th. This will come out in the morning, of course. Heart's Greatest Hits. I like to say Greatest Hits live because of the 6 live tracks on here, which I think the Greatest Hits parts is nice, but the live tracks really are the reason why I own this album and like it so much. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode of my favorite albums of 1980. We'll be back again next day with another one. And please like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.